Welcome to this week's edition of the Weightlifting Platform, where the action happens all around the world, but only on a 4x4 meter platform. The Weightlifting Platform is brought to you by the Pan-American Weightlifting Federation. I'm your host, Richard Mason. On this week's show, a man who took his success on the weightlifting platform and turned it into a worldwide coaching and consulting business. For our tip of the week, we'll talk about coping with troubling times in a pandemic. And our regular feature, Good to Know, will turn the clock back to the first ever World Weightlifting Meet. But first, here are the headlines. All eyes are on Moscow this week as Europe's strongest athletes are gathering in the Russian capital for the European Championships. But first, the European Federation has business to take care of with an election. 3 candidates are running to replace Antonio Urso, who has chosen not to seek re-election. The presidential candidates are Moldova's Antonio Confliti, Turkey's Hasan Akas, and Russia's Maxim Agapitov. The member countries will also select a general secretary, a treasurer, vice presidents, and various board and committee members. After the ballots are cast, the heavy lifting begins. The entry list for the championship has athletes from 40 countries, with 179 women and 182 men entered. The International Weightlifting Federation has another female-focused webinar in its books. The event, held online March 26th, is being called a success. Still with webinars, the Athletes Commission with PANAMERICA's weightlifting body is looking ahead. April 3rd, they're hosting a Back to Sport, Regreso al Deporte webinar for their athletes. The Bolivarian Games, to be hosted next year in Colombia, is looking for volunteers. The regional event, open to athletes from Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, Peru, Venezuela, and Chile, has been contested since 1938. Weightlifting was one of the original sports and has been in every game since. The 2022 version is being hosted in Colombia. What do you do when you're hosting the African Youth Games? You need to develop technical officials, and there's a global pandemic. You go online, of course. Lesotho is hosting the best youth athletes in all of Africa in 2026 and needed more referees, technical controllers, timekeepers, and more. But the health situation around the globe was preventing IWF Technical Committee member Milan Mihailovic from making the trip to train. So everyone gathered around screens and they did it virtually. Mihailovic taught about the different roles of TOs during competition, the appointment process, uniforms, and shared the rules and the new modifications. Those are today's headlines. Now, good to know. Did you know the first International Weightlifting Championship predates the modern Olympic Games? It's good to know that it was held in London, England in 1891, and 7 athletes from 6 countries gathered. The event had no weight categories. The winner was Edward Lawrence Levy of England. The 39-year-old went on to set 14 world records. But when the first Olympic Games rolled around 5 years later, he wasn't competing. He was there as a technical official. He sat on the jury. Now, time to talk. Joining us now is a man who commands some serious respect in the CrossFit world, booking seminars for athletes around the globe. But before that, his success was on the weightlifting platform. Welcome, Dmitry Klokov. First, I understand your father was a world champion. Tell me, how did you get involved with weightlifting at first? Did he put a barbell in your hand at a young age?
My story starts from December 10, 1995. This is the day when my first training happens. But before a couple of years, I was visiting different competitions, different weightlifting events, and my father's friends always telling to him, Vyacheslav, look at your son. Your son have already some muscles. Looks like his genetic is good for weightlifting. You have to try one more time to take the gold medal from Olympic Games and give him chance. But my father was not agree with this because he was finishing his sport career and he understand well, this is very difficult and this is big risk. You spend a lot of time, your young age, you're missing the education, you're missing your family and many things, and no chance what you will exactly take wherever you like to take from this sport. And he said, no, my son will go to take some good education, Cambridge, Oxford, something maybe in Russia, something good for his future. But his friends was very motivated to pushing me to weightlifting, and in one day this happens, and this day happens December 10, 1995. This is how I started.
Now, what was your training like? Did your father coach you? What was it training like before you made it to the international scene?
My first coach is Gennady Anikanov. This is the coach who was coaching my father in university. They was studying together in physical education academy. And after my father have another coach, but this was his more or less first coach in university. And this guy was living just in the second apartment from our apartment, and I was very lucky because of this, because he don't missing any trainings. I was dreaming about his miss of the training, because when you kid, you don't like to train hard. You want to do everything for fun. But my father said for him, if you want to train him, and if I will say yes for Dmitry, okay, you can start training, you will train like professional. You will train like professional from the beginning, because only one I want to do this is to take gold medal from Olympic Games. Because if this will be not happens like this, more or less you will spend this time for nothing. Sport, this is just like a good trampoline for your future life. You will not spend all your life for sport. This is just a few years, but as better you will move on this couple of years, as better your future life will be for you personally and for your family. This is why my first trainings was really serious.
Now, you won your first international meet that I could find when I looked online. That was Junior Worlds in 2002 as a 94 kilo athlete, so lighter than you competed later. But you won in a tie. You were the lighter athlete, but you both got the same total. Now, tiebreakers like that are eliminated. What do you think? Do you think that that's a good idea, or do you want to make sure that the lighter athlete, like you, in that case, always gets the gold medal?
A good question, and the most interesting, what I doesn't think about this never, I never think about this. I remember the Junior World Championship when I took the first place, and I remember what I getting surprised for all my team, because I did clean and jerk 207 kilos, and for me this was like almost impossible. No one was thinking what I ready to do this. For me this was surprise, for everyone was surprise, yeah, exactly this video. Yes, everyone was thinking about 2 kilos, and they just give me a chance to try who I am for the last attempt. If you can do this, you're good. If not, we already have some medals. And this was like a first big jump to the big numbers and good place in the medals.
Well done.
But this is not my first competition. Yeah.
Oh, well, it was your first international competition that I could find on the IWF site. I can tell you that.
No. My first competition was in Greece, maybe 3 years before this competition. This was just for fun. This was big competition. Yes, but not first international competition. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, 3 years later, you lifted at your first Senior Worlds. Now you're up to 105 kilos at this point. Going in, did you think that you'd win gold? Were you confident?
The most interesting, just 1.5 years ago, before the World Championship, I was trying to move to 105 plus. I was trying to go for the heavyweight class. And I did 2.5 kilos in snatch and 240 in clean and jerk. And this is for me very important competition because I took the total for 442.5 kilos, and this was just for 2.5 kilos more than my father biggest total. And this is my biggest dream. My biggest dream was beat the father. His best total in his sport career was 440 kilos, and I did 442.5. And after, why I back to 105 body weight class? Because I getting sick and I just lose a couple of kilos. And when I start thinking what I have to do next, I was start thinking how difficult this was for me to growing the body weight. And I can tell you, I was living at the training center for 1 year. I was eating, I don't know, maybe 5-6 times per day. I eating all the time, and I just took like 6 kilos more than 105 body weight class. It's like 111 kilos. And when I getting sick, I lose a couple of kilos, and I imagine how difficult this will be. Take these numbers back, and I said, okay, I will compete in 105. This is the story.
Now, you lifted in one Olympics. You lifted in one Olympics. You got second. You got silver medal in Beijing. What was it like lifting in Beijing?
This was most comfortable competition for me, because every competition this with some problems, with some injuries, with another problems. But in Beijing, can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly.
Yes. Sorry. In Beijing, everything was good, emotionally, physically. I just enjoying of be here and competing and to do whatever I did. The most stressful part for me, this was just the last attempt for 230 kilos. This was my third attempt and clean and jerk. And the most stressful because in this moment before this lift, I was just number 4 in the ranking list. And if I will not lifting these numbers, I will take place number 4. If I will do this, I will be the second. And this make my hands very very shaking. This was very stressful. Yeah. The most difficult
Now,
part.
you didn't have an opportunity to lift in London 4 years later. You were going, but you couldn't lift. What's the story? What happened?
Very, very interesting what we was preparing in a big group. And I don't know why, but all first 5 doesn't come to the London, or if they come, they did something wrong. I don't know. This is some magic things. The first 5 places did something wrong. Some people take injuries, some people something else. This is very stressful story for us, because Olympic Games, this is like a peak of our career. And when I start thinking about this again, this make me feel so bad. And I was ready, but I think because we were so strong all together, all the 5 people, we're just pushing each other. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. For all of us 5, this happens not good. We're just missing the competition, all of group.
Okay. Now, you've embraced CrossFit. Now, as a participant and as a person who's traveling the world coaching CrossFit athletes, doing seminars, that kind of thing, did you see the potential early on, or were you just trying to find a way to continue your work with strength? Because it turns out that you picked it right, but I'm just not sure if you're smarter than the rest of us, or you were just trying to keep working.
You mean CrossFit like for the people, for me, like for who? For coach or for athlete?
Yeah, because you're coaching all around the world. You're doing this as an athlete as well. A lot of the weightlifting community, at least where I live, wasn't sure about CrossFit. They were like, we're not sure these guys are using our lifts, but we're not sure if this is a good idea. But you seem to have figured out that CrossFit is a good idea for weightlifting.
Listen, I don't want to speak about me like athlete. I'm not really CrossFit athlete. I'm too heavy for this. I'm too old for this. And I just start practicing little bit. But I have to say, I have a lot of things to say about CrossFit and weightlifting. When I was looking on this project like CrossFit 7-8 years ago, I start thinking why these people lifting so small numbers, and why full stadium on CrossFit Games watching this competition. I start thinking about this and read some information. I start thinking what this is, guys also want to learn something new. They want to get better, like all the athletes. All the athletes always want to get better. And I start preparing the education videos about weightlifting for my YouTube channel. And after everything is just happens, people start watching these videos, people start text me in Instagram, in email, in YouTube, and they just start inviting me to do the seminar to teach these people how to do properly snatch and clean and jerk. And after everything is just move, and we're growing together. I was growing like a coach, they was growing like athletes. This was very good from the beginning, and I'm very sad what not so many people from weightlifting community. I speak more about the president of different federations, some managers. Why they not start work with the CrossFit? You know, this is very sad for me. Can you hear me?
Well, I always this show isn't about my opinion, but I always thought that the more people that have a barbell in their hand, the better it is for our sport, one way or the other. I'm going to thank you at this point for taking the time to talk to us. We've got one more segment to do. We're going to do our On the Clock segment. Hang on. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen this before, but this is kind of where we have a little bit of fun. We're going to put the athlete, in this case you, on a 1-minute clock, and we're going to ask you questions to get to know you better. Some of them weightlifting, some of them not. Are you ready?
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1. What is the highest weight you've ever lifted?
330 kilos in deadlift.
Favorite country to visit that isn't Russia?
US. California part.
Favorite musical artist? Favorite musical artist?
I like Enigma. This is relaxing my brain all the time.
Best dish your mother ever made for you to eat?
Soups. I like soups. I'm soup guy.
Okay.
Any soups.
If you couldn't be a weightlifter or couldn't be a CrossFit athlete, any strength sport, what sport do you think you'd be most successful at?
I think fencing.
And now your favorite weightlifter that's not named Klokov?
Dimas Piros.
There you go. Time's up. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now it's time for the tip of the week. These are challenging times with COVID-19 impacting everything we do in sport. Here's Serbia's Milan Mihailovic with some general advice and personal greetings in these COVID times.
Hello, my friends from Weightlifting Platform. I am sending many greetings to all my friends in PANAMERICA and all around the world. This pandemic time is not easy time. We are all trying to exercise every day our best, but usually sometimes it is at home, sometimes it is at gym. Not easy time, but we are all trying to do our best. At the moment, we are preparing for the Europe Championships, which will be held at the beginning of April in Moscow. We are going with 6 athletes, 3 male and 3 female, and we are hope they will make good results. We bought flight tickets, make reservation of hotels, and at the moment we are waiting for the negative PCR test, and after that we will travel. Please take care about yourself. This is very hard time and you must take care about yourself and about your friends. Have a training every day, do your best, and hope to see you all in Tokyo. Greetings from Belgrade. Greetings from Serbia.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of the Weightlifting Platform, brought to you by the Pan American Weightlifting Federation. If you like what you see, please bookmark us here on YouTube. You could also like the IWF on Facebook. Tweet out to the IWF at IWFnet on Twitter. I'm Richard Mason. Good lifting.